to the Feed You podcast, giving you the real scoop on raising your business to new heights. Expert education, inspiration, and motivation to fuel your purpose, your passion, and your profits. Here's your host, Elisa Connor.
Hello. Welcome to the Feed You podcast. I'm Elisa Connor. I'm your host. I am so grateful you're here. And this week, I wanted to share with you my experience that I had. As I'm recording this, it was last week, so you guys will hear this in a couple of weeks. But that I had at my mastermind in California. And this is a kind of the scoop behind the scoop was that I was supposed to go to this event in January, and I got super sick. Like, I haven't been that sick in years. And I am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. So there was a reason I was not supposed to go in January and that I was supposed to go in October instead, even though I had hoped and was secretly kind of praying that there would be an opportunity to go to this mastermind before that long space of time. But I was delighted to go, and I want to share a little bit about that experience with you, as well as some of the things that I took away that I'm thinking will be beneficial to you. So the conference was held in Irvine, California, which is right outside of, I don't even know what it's right outside of. It is seriously 5 minutes from the John Wayne Airport is where we were. There were 600 people that gathered for this event, and they are all part of a community that my mentor, James Wedmore, created. And this is his live event that he has he has it twice a year, I guess. This is the biggest event he's ever had. And I have probably been following him for about a year and a half. And it was amazing to see the traction and the growth he's had in such a short period of time. This is his 8th event, and he only started having them 3 years ago. His first event had 40 people in it, and it was so funny. They actually had a picture of it hosted in a basement, and it was described as a dingy basement at that, and 40 people. And they were all around little tables, up to 600 people this time. And I tell you that because I think a lot of times as business owners, we get in this mode of, we need to have it all be big right now. And we forget all of the steps that it took for our mentors and the people that we look up to get to where they are now. The other reason I tell you that story is the length of time that lapsed between that 40 people event and a 600 person event is relatively small. It was under 3 years. And so if you think about that, you went from not having a very big business to now having a multiple 7-figure business is a huge stride. And so I want that to be an inspiration for you, and I want you to take that from this episode to know that it's okay where you are now because you're building the foundation for where you're going to be. So before we hop into the lessons for this conference, I have, 5 lessons, and then I have a kind of some cool stuff for you at the end. So stick around till the end. But before we hop in there, let's take a minute and hear from our sponsor. One of the biggest frustrations I hear from business owners on a regular basis is, I need more clients. And I get it. Every business struggles with getting new clients until you know how to do it. The problem is you spend your time networking and going to events and making phone calls that don't go anywhere. You're out trying to attract people to you when there is a much easier way. Growing your email list is so important because it fills your list with potential clients who actually want to hear from you. And it gives you the ability to reach out to them on a regular basis and share what you have to offer. To grow your email list, you have got to have a great free download. Sign up for our free newsletter isn't working anymore. You've got to create a download that piques their interest, gets them to take action, and adds them to your list. Sounds easy, right? Of course it's not easy. That's exactly why I created my new free training to help you create an awesome free download. You can sign up at elisaconnor.com/create my freebie. This live training is going to present the 5 easy steps that I've used with my clients to help them go from hot mess marketing to growing an email list that they consistently get sales from. So you don't want to miss this training. Head on over to alisaconnor.com/create my freebie and sign up today. I'll see you inside. So I am super excited to be sharing this event with you. I'm trying to contain myself a little bit because I kind of feel like when I was getting ready to go to this event, it kind of felt like early Christmas for me. And it did not disappoint. I'll put it that way. So a little bit about the prep for this event. I went to this event very much with an intention. And I talked about that a few episodes ago, setting an intention when you're going to your event and what it should be. And my intention was really to be open to serendipity and what the universe put in front of me. And it was so amazing to watch this unfold before my eyes. And I just kind of sat there a little bit and was like, holy moly, like, did that really happen? So before you go to your next event, and first, before I go down that path, I want to encourage you to find somebody that you look up to, that you resonate with, and that you feel at home with the people they attract. And so I really don't like the word tribe, or I always refer to them as my peeps. But the people that James Wedmore attracts are definitely the people that I resonate with. And I knew that was going to be the case, but I don't think I was quite prepared for what unfolded. And it was incredible. So my intention for this event was to just really go in and connect with people that had like-minded thoughts about business, that were definitely plugged into higher power, intuition, all of those things that I talk about with you, energy, all of those things, and to make some really good connections that I can brainstorm with, that are at a similar spot in business, that it can create accountability, and to really build some lasting friendships. And what was amazing was that all of that happened, and it kept happening. And the people that I kept attracting, without doing anything, they just kept showing up, were just more, that one was more amazing than the next. And so I left, and I have a core group of girls that we've created a little mastermind together to hold each other accountable. And I had to laugh. The last night we were together, we went to dinner, and we went to a little restaurant in Newport Beach. It was I'm trying to remember. It was owned by Tony Hawk. It was a Mexican restaurant. Delicious food. Can't remember the name of it. Something guac. But anyway, and the waitress came up and she goes, "Oh my gosh, how long have you guys known each other? You are so you're just having such a great time, and you're compatible, and you're having great conversation." And she's like, "You must have known each other for a really long time." We're like, "Yeah, 48 hours." And so that's the power of connecting with the people that are in alignment with you, is that it's so easy to have conversations and to just let go of all the blah and just move forward and help each other and grow. And it's such an amazing group of women. And so I'm so excited. So shout out to my BBD girls, and so excited that I met them. And I just love that my intention came to fruition and then some. So tip number 1 is to be open to serendipity and to set your intention for what you want to attract. Recommendation, or step number 2, is to don't be afraid to get outside of your comfort zone. Now, I am a late learner. I know that I took the Myers-Briggs test a long time ago, and I always thought I was an extrovert. And the more I started reading about extrovert versus introvert, now, mind you, I can go out and I can have conversations with people and be very plugged in and dynamic and all of those different things, but I'm truly an introvert, because the way that I recharge is not in big groups of people. In fact, I get really tired when I'm around a lot of people for a lot of time. And so I need to have just smaller groups of people, or just, one-on-one, or be alone to recharge. And so for me, it's almost a little harder to get outside of my comfort zone, especially because I spend a lot of time alone now. And so to get out and like create those conversations, it takes a lot of energy. And so I knew going into this, I'm like, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to be willing to talk to people you don't know. And I went to this event not knowing anybody. Like I knew no one. I walked in the door and there were 600 new people and I'm like, oh, okay, well, 600 new friends it's going to be. And so I was willing to go down that first night, and there wasn't really a scheduled event for Sunday night, but some people in the Facebook group had kind of coordinated like, hey, we're going to get together in the bar. We're going to have drinks. We're going to, we have some dinners that we've set up that if you want to come to one of the dinners, just sign up. So I had signed up for a dinner, and I actually met a lady online, and we rode in on the shuttle together from the airport. And I didn't know her. And so I was just open to creating those connections and meeting with new people and starting conversations with people. And it can be a little bit intimidating when you're in a bar and just by name tags that you know what level some of these people's business is at. And it is far surpassed where I'm at. And that can be a little bit intimidating. You're like, oh, they're kind of a big deal. And I don't feel like I'm really a big deal. But just being okay with starting those conversations and just, being yourself and being friendly. What I realized is that they don't think they're a big deal at all. They just are doing what they do, and they happen to be a few steps ahead of you, and they are remarkable people to connect with to build and grow your business. So getting out of my own way and making those connections, and not just being intimidated because they're further on their path, really opened up some opportunities for me to have some really great conversations and get some ideas and to learn, what are the hiccups as you go down the road? Because a lot of times you don't know that. And I always think that there's multiple levels of people that are on the path, and some of them are behind you, some of them are ahead of you, and they can be different levels ahead of you. So, they may be hiring their first team member. They may be hiring 3 team members or whatever that looks like, or they may be going from 6 to 7 figures, or they may, whatever that looks like. But just starting those conversations, letting go of the tendency to beat yourself up that you're not where they are, and just opening yourself up to learn from them. And then I want to tell you a little story about something else that happened. So as I was leaving the bar and I was going to go to this dinner, and there were like 35 people signed up for this dinner. It was in Newport Beach again. Everybody wanted to go to dinner at the beach, and the food was phenomenal. But I had signed up to go to this dinner again, didn't know anybody going to the dinner. And then I met my roommate, or she wasn't my roommate. She was my, shuttle mate coming in. She was going, and she had some friends that were going. But I was walking out of the bar, and I just happened to see this girl sitting there with the menu, and she was alone. And I just went up to her. I'm like, are you? And I don't know, something just kind of drew me over to her. So I was like, I'm going to listen to myself. And so I went over and I said, hi, are you with BBD, with the BBD group? And she goes, oh yeah. And so we start talking and, having conversation. I'm like, well, how long have you been sitting here? She's like, I've been sitting here for like 45 minutes waiting for them to take my order. And I said, that's ridiculous. Why don't you just come crash this dinner with me? And so she came with me, and she ended up being the person that I was supposed to connect with to meet all of the other people in my little mastermind group. And so shout out to Michelle. She's a phenomenal person. And if I wouldn't have stopped to have that conversation with her and listened to my intuition, I would have never connected with her, and my experience would have been totally different. So I want you to think about how you can stop, listen to your intuition, and also step outside your comfort zone. If you're like kind of afraid to have a conversation with somebody or approach somebody, just set your ego at the door and do it anyway. So thank goodness I did, because it just really put the wheels into motion for me to have a phenomenal experience at this event. And then tip number 3, or lesson number 3, as I would put it, is, as I said, I've looked up to James for probably almost 2 years. Like I started following him in his podcast about 2 years ago, and he's kind of like one of those, I call him the untouchables. How you have people and you look up to them and you're like, oh my gosh, they're almost like a superstar, a movie star, or a hero to you. And, so what I learned was that your heroes are human too. And it was very interesting. We were waiting I think it was Monday night. Yeah, it was Monday night. We were waiting. And they had a cocktail hour that was sponsored by one of the vendors there at the event. And James showed up, I don't know, maybe like halfway through the event, and was wanting to connect with people. People wanted to get their picture with him, have conversation, So I was waiting with another friend, and people just kept kind of getting in front of us, and he kind of kept looking over at us like, I'm trying to get to you guys. But people were just not being very polite and were pushing themselves ahead of the line. And so we were getting a little frustrated, and I was just trying to be cool about it. But I was also almost at the end of my, I need to not be around people anymore. I'm done. I was done. So, anyway, but it was very interesting to see, not only the perspective of he was really trying to do the right thing, but he couldn't get away from the people that were kind of, I don't want to say, they were attaching themselves to him and just monopolizing his time. But the other piece of that is we kept saying to each other, it was me and another girl, and who was also an introvert, we kept saying, God, he looks so tired. I feel really bad that these people are not looking at him as a human. He just gave and gave and gave all day on stage, and probably did not want to be out there, conversing with everybody about their business stuff for another 2 hours. But he continued to show up and be there, and but he just looked exhausted. And so there were a couple things that I took away from this. And one was just seeing that he was, he's also human, and he gets tired. And even though he seems like a superhero because he's really built this phenomenal business, and he has had such an impact on all these different people. But also, what was the lesson in allowing all those people to push in front of us? And so we talked about that. My other compadre and I talked about, why did we do that? And it was definitely some lessons that needed to be learned for each of us in standing in our own power, and not always being the person that takes care of everybody else and making, putting ourselves last. And so that's really what that lesson was, is that we should have stood up for ourselves. And so lesson learned, you have to change that. And what does that look like? And then what's on the other side of that lesson? So, when you're in those situations, kind of, again, tuning in, why am I reacting? Why am I not doing what I would make me feel all right about the situation? And then the last piece of this that showed James' humanness is that I loved that when we got back from, and I think it was Sunday or Monday, he had posted in our private group how many takeaways he got from the attendees at this event. And I loved that he is still learning lessons like we all are, but I loved even more that he was learning them from his students. There's just something so powerful about being humble enough to tune into the people around you and realize they have so much to teach you. And so I loved that humanness that he shared with that post. And then also, additional things that have come up with little interviews and all these different things that came up. But it's just really nice to know that even though he has a super successful business, he has, thousands and thousands of followers, millions of downloads of his podcast, he still looks at his audience as an opportunity to learn, and not instead of showing up as I know everything. Because there's no possible way as human beings we can know everything. And so I just love that, and it really showed his human side. So shout out to James, you rock. I think that I'm an even bigger fan now than I was before, because I love that he showed up and was human and was real and authentic. And so that leads us to number 4. Some of it's a little overlap from what I just talked about. But a lot of times when you attend these events, you think, oh, I'm going to learn this new tactic. I'm going to learn this new technique. I'm going to learn, how to build this out. I'm going to learn how, some new Facebook ads or whatever it might be, whatever you're going to your conference to learn. But in reality, a lot of time, the biggest shifts don't come from any of that. They come from diving within and connecting to what you really want, what you want to create, what your purpose is for being here, and is what you're doing, does it light you up? Does it fill you with passion? Does it make you want to get out of bed in the morning? Does it make you so excited that you can't wait to get to it again? You can't wait to help more people. And so one of the stories that was told during this event was when James had started his business, he was literally poor as a church mouse, living in his parents' basement, wasn't making any money, decided to create his first online course around video marketing, and partnered with Lewis Howes, which if you don't know who Lewis Howes is, he's a pretty well-known entrepreneur, but that's one of his friends. And they partnered together and literally built a business that made over $400,000 in 1 month. And so I tell you that because James was under the impression that that was going to make his life a wonderful, perfect thing. And a lot of times we go through business and we think, oh, if I just had the money, everything would be great. Everything would be perfect. And so as we were going through this experience with him and he was sharing this story, he asked us the question, which I will now share with you, which is, why are you waiting on something outside of yourself to be joyful, to be happy, to find passion in your business? And I really took a deep look at that, and there will be some changes coming in my business. I'll just put it that way. Because a lot of what I've been doing has not been bringing me joy. This podcast is one of the things that I really, really enjoy, and I love it, and I love sharing with you, and I love sharing my insights and my training and all that sort of stuff. But there are some other pieces of my business that do not bring me joy. And I'm like, why are you spending so much time and energy on this? And so I implore you to ask yourself that question. Are you getting out of bed every day going, oh, I have to do this again, or it sucks to be an entrepreneur, or whatever it is? Because if that's the case, you aren't aligned with your passion, and earning all the money in the world isn't going to make that better. So take a deep look at that and look at within. And then that leads me to tip number 5, which I'm going to confess, I have not been good at recently, but do not underestimate the power of journaling. And I think a lot of times, I don't know about you, but I'd pick up my journal and oh, I wonder what I should write in here. Should I have a journal prompt? Like I'm going to do it wrong. And there's no wrong way to do this. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And so I have added into my morning routine the opportunity to just journal. I'll just think of whatever's happening in my mind and I'll just start writing. And I did it on the way back on my plane ride, and I had 10 pages of stuff that I wrote out. So I wanted to encourage you to think about adding journaling into your repertoire as well, because a lot of times we carry around all these ideas and all these things in our head and all these I don't know, I want to say sometimes negative thoughts or negative, this is who we should be. I hate when people should on themselves. Just stop it. And I'm bad about it because I sometimes do that as well, but I'm correcting myself. So, but having a journal and having a safe space, and it can just be what are these things called? A composition notebook, or it can be a fancy, pretty journal that you picked out especially because you think it's beautiful. And I'll tell you, Amazon has some really awesome journals. So if you just wanted to spend a little extra and get yourself a pretty journal, go do that too. But it's really important to fill it with words and to just fill it with everything that's in your head, because just putting it out on paper is so freeing. You can let go of so many things. You can let go of the judgments you have for yourself and all of that stuff. So I'm going to encourage you to journal. And I actually have 5 questions for you to ask and then an exercise at the end. So Your first question is that if you could do anything in your business right now, knowing that you wouldn't fail, what would you do? And I want you to, journal about that, write that down, and, see, what does that look like? What does it look like that, because fear holds us back a lot. And when I did this exercise, the things that came out were not what I expected. And so that's going to be leading to some shifts in my business. And I'm still getting okay with that. I'm still becoming okay with that, because sometimes that change can be really scary. You've built this thing and now you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to move into this other direction. It's totally different. So think about what that is and just give yourself the opportunity to answer that maybe today or tomorrow. And then the second question is like, what would have to change about you as a person in order for you to go after what you wrote in number 1? And so do you have to give up fear? Do you have to give up beating up on yourself? Do you have to give up the philosophy that you have to be the genius expert at everything you do? What do you have to give up in your own brain or in your life to actually have what you journaled about in number 1? Because that's what's blocking you. So whatever that fear is that's holding you back from going and doing that thing that you wrote down for question number 1, I want you to write down, what's getting in your way? What's stopping you from doing it? What's stopping you from going after that big goal that you would go after if there was no chance you were going to fail? And then question number 3 is, how are you going to do it? I mean, how are you going to step through fears, walk on fire, and take action to go after that goal? Because that number 1, that first question is really what's in your heart. And when fear gets out of the way, that's what you really want. That's what you want to go after. And the only way you're ever going to get there is by taking action steps. So I'm going to implore you to write down, 3 action steps that you can take this week or today or this month to start inching forward on that goal. And so you can attain it, because goals aren't made with, grandiose gestures. They're made with consistent effort day after day after day. And it's those little steps that get you there. So that's question number 3. Question number 4 is, how can you be accountable for making sure those 3 action steps that you just wrote down happen? Do you need to join an accountability group? Do you need to create an accountability group? Do you have people that are on your team that can hold you accountable? Do you have friends? Or sometimes as entrepreneurs, friends and family are just like, I don't know what crazy thing you're doing right now, but you should just do that over there. I don't want any part of it. So, because I know my mom, it's taken her forever. I love my mom, but it's taken her forever to be like, what is it you do again? And she's like, oh, okay, I guess that's a kind of a real job. Like, she doesn't think it's a real job because I don't go to an office. So, anyway, it's a total foreign concept to her. So maybe friends and family aren't your support system, but maybe they are. But find some people, 2 or 3 people that can hold you accountable to taking those action steps, so that you aren't trying to do it on your own. It's like trying to quit smoking cold turkey. It's really hard to do that. It's really hard to make changes when you don't have people you can bounce ideas off of, or people that you can just check in with you and say, hey, how'd you do on your goal? So that accountability system is really important. And you can often do that in Facebook groups. If you aren't in some awesome Facebook groups right now, come join mine. It's a great Facebook group. We'll hold you accountable. And I'll put the link in the show notes. So question number 5, and this is really important. How will you know when you've reached your goal that you've been successful? How, what does that look like? What does it mean to have reached your goal? What does it mean in the eyes of success? And write that out, because it may not be what you think. And a lot of times we think, making 6 or 7 figures is going to make me look successful. Why is that? Because if that's how you're measuring success, it's never going to be enough. The money will be there and it will feel empty, and you're going to get to the finish line and you're going to be like, oh, this didn't make me as happy as I thought it would. And so I really want you to think about, what does that success look like? What does it look like as far as lifestyle? Do you have more freedom? Are you able to hang out with your family more? Are you, able to go on more vacations? Like, what does it feel like? What does it look like? Or does it relate to your customers? And for me, that's what really tuned in for me is like my success, the way that I operate internally is very much attuned to the success of the people that I help. And the more successful they are, the more successful I feel. And so detaching from results is very difficult for me, and that's something I'm working on. But it also makes me feel empowered when I can help them reach success and see them succeed, because that feeds my love language. So those are your 5 questions. One more time, it's if you could do anything in your business right now or in your life right now without failing, what would it be? Who would you have to become, and how would you have to change to be the person to make number one happen? What 3 steps can you take today or this week to inch closer to the number one goal you have? Who can help you be accountable? And then how will you know when it happens, or when you feel successful? How will you know you've been successful? And then the last piece of this is this is kind of an exercise that I thought was awesome that we did at the event, and that was to write a letter to ourselves, to our future selves, describing what our life is like, describing what we want. Putting the intention around what that looks like. And you could either hold on to that, or you could give it to somebody and ask them to mail it to you. But what was really powerful about it for us is that the event staff actually took all of our letters, and they're going to just randomly send them back to us. So, but write that letter to yourself and describe what you want your life to look like. And that's going to help you direct the way you go. So, a couple other things that I want to stick in here, and then I'm going to sign off for today. But one of the best tools that I got that's going to really help you with this process, besides journaling, that can also be a good accountability tool, is from my buddy Alon over at the 90X Goal Planner. And the 90X system is amazing because it looks at your number one goal, whatever it might be, or your top 5 goals for the next 90 days that you want to accomplish. And it helps you attune to those goals, make sure that they're aligned with, who you are and what you want to become, but also gives you daily actionable steps to do that. And Alon does a really great job with this planner, and the one I picked is so pretty. It's pink. Of course it's pink. If you know anything about me, it's pink. But there's 2 sizes. There's one that has 1 page per day, and then there's one that has 2 pages per day. So it has a lot of great exercises. He's got some how-to videos that go with it. And he is so awesome. He is actually offering a discount for my audience to get their very own. And so if you would like to check out the 90X Day Planner, you can find the link on my website. And to use your discount code, it is FEEDU. So FEEDU 31, and that'll give you a 31% discount. So go and check it out. But that was my number one tool takeaway, because it's really going to help me get in alignment with some of my big new goals. And I am actually starting on December 1st a group within the Facebook group of people that want to use their planners together to reach a big, hairy, audacious goal in the next 90 days. So I'm starting at December 1st. If you would like to participate, that gives you just under a month, if you're listening to this episode in real time, to grab your planner and then come over and join us. And we're going to have some fun exercises and all that kind of stuff. And I'll put the discount code over in the Facebook group too. But you can find it in the podcast show notes under elisaconnor.com/61. And in other exciting news, Alon's actually going to be in before the end of the year as a special interview guest to tell us a little bit more about the planner and how to get going on those goals for January 2020 right now. Because the bigger jump you can get ahead of on those goals, the better off you're going to be. So look forward to that upcoming interview in December. And then one last thing is I want to do a shout out to my oldest child, Riley. Today is his birthday. So happy birthday, Riley. He's 18. And I try not to talk about it too much because the last 18 years just literally flew by. Like I blinked, he was a baby, and now he's 18. So I'm super proud of him. He's a great, great kid, and it happens to be his birthday today. And so happy birthday, my lovely child. And I have lots of birthdays that align with the podcast this year. Mine did too. It's been kind of a strange little connection that all of these birthdays lined up. I was trying to see if my twins' birthday was the same way, but I can't remember off the top of my head if their birthday is also going to be a podcast episode. So nope, they missed out, but my mom's will be next week's episode. So I have lots of birthdays this year, and so happy birthday to Riley. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, all the journaling questions, info, and all that stuff will be over on the website, elisaconnor.com/61, as well as the link to get your very own 90X planner and join the little challenge that's going to start December 1st and get your discount. So I'll see you next week talking about new stuff. I'm going to be talking about habits next week. So excited about that. And how to hone those habits to finish strong for the end of this year and to start next year. So I'll see you soon. In the meantime, take care. Just a reminder, don't forget to sign up for my free training to create your irresistible download. Everybody wants a great free download. Why shouldn't you have one too? Grow and build your email list so you can get more clients by joining me on my free training at elisaconnor.com/create my freebie. I'll see you soon.